The incident took place in a village in India, witnessed by the narrator themselves. A man named Jayed lived there, leading a very simple life. He had 2 daughters and 2 sons, which made up his happy family. Jayed served as the imam of the village mosque. For many years, even from a young age, his character, piety, amal, and good conduct were so well regarded that the villagers permanently kept him in the village. Jayed, bound by the love of the people and the duty of his profession, never left for another place. He knew a bit of spiritual healing, but didn't practice it often. Some benevolent jinn would visit him to discuss various practices and solutions for people's problems. One day, when Jayed was not at home, a man arrived at his house. The man asked Jayed's wife, "Where is your husband? I have an urgent matter to discuss with him." Jayed's wife replied, "He is not home right now, but he will be back shortly. You can tell me if you wish." The man then revealed his problem to her. "My son has been experiencing some terrifying events for quite some time. Because of this, he wants to commit suicide. He runs around constantly with a sharp weapon, looking like he is about to end his life, to cut his throat, his arms, or his legs. His body is afflicted with unbearable pain. He cannot keep any food down, day or night. He immediately vomits it out with blood. He groans in pain all the time, and his eyes constantly stream with tears. He keeps covering his eyes with his hands, and sometimes, due to the constant irritation and pain, he tries to gouge his eyes out. Do you know what happened once? He tried to insert his 2 fingers into his own eyes to pull them out. The pain in his eyes was so agonizing that he couldn't bear it anymore. We somehow managed to stop him, but had we been a second later, his fingernails might have already pierced his eyes. How much unbearable pain must a person be in to attempt such a thing?" Jayed's wife listened to everything. Since she knew the man, she asked him to come inside and sit, but the man didn't want to stay long. He said, "No, I don't really have time to rest. I must leave because I don't know when some trouble might suddenly happen if I'm not home." He added, "Please tell your husband about this so he can try to find a solution. May Allah bless him." Since the man spoke of such family troubles and wished to leave, Jayed's wife didn't hold him back. Travel was difficult then, as communication and roads were not well developed. The man left. That day, Jayed returned home very late, well past 10 p.m. While they were eating dinner, his wife recounted the entire incident to him. After eating, Jayed prepared to sleep. He felt his whole body was weak from the day's work. Visiting a few places for mosque-related matters, he decided to go to sleep quickly. Jayed fell asleep and had a bizarre dream. He dreamt that a massive black jackal had come to him. The jackal's 2 long upper canine teeth pierced through its lower jaw, extending downwards, and its 2 long lower canine teeth also pierced through, extending downwards. It looked terrifying. Jackals don't usually have such large teeth. Saliva was profusely dripping from its mouth. Its claws were black, but so sharp that they glittered. This jackal spoke like a human, calling Jayed by name. It warned him, "Hey Jayed, beware. Do not do what you intend to do. Do not attempt to help that boy. If you try to help him, I will give you the punishment of hell while you are still alive, just like him. I will not tell you who I am. You will learn my identity from those who come to you," referring to Jayed's familiar jinn, "and they will tell you how insignificant they are to me. I will say no more. Remember, I do not warn anyone a second time, either in a dream or in any other way. I only do it once. This is your first and your final warning." With that, the jackal left. Jayed did not wake up immediately after this dream. He continued sleeping until the morning. The next day, Jayed summoned his jinn friends. He described the strange dream and asked for its meaning, saying he had never had such a dream before. The jinn took some time to gather information. The intelligence they brought back both astonished Jayed and terrified his jinn friends. They revealed that this jinn is not an ordinary one. While many old and powerful jinn exist, this one is so formidable that the mere mention of his name makes many powerful jinn, highly skilled in sorcery, immediately submit to him. They don't need to approach him, nor does he need to approach them. He is an absolutely terrifying jinn. They explain that this jinn belongs to the Ifrit clan and dates back to the era of Sulaiman alayhi salam, or even earlier. Since Suleiman alayhi salam lived approximately 2,500 years ago, his power and age are immense. This jinn was one of the chiefs of the jinn who were masters of the various sorceries that existed during Suleiman's time. The most frightening fact is that the verses related to Ruqya in the Holy Quran, which all healers commonly use for treatment, have little effect on this jinn. There are some specific verses that can influence this jinn, but they do not know exactly which ones they are. Astonished, Jayed asked, "Why did this jinn come to me?" The jinn friends explained, "The man who came to you yesterday has a sick son. You were not home, so he spoke to your wife. That is the core issue. This jinn has warned you not to treat the boy." Jayed then eagerly inquired, "What is the relationship between this jinn and the boy?" His jinn friends then disclosed the full story. The boy was an extremely wicked and abusive child. He was not just a typical mischievous boy, but intensely malevolent and tyrannical. He was also a boy who knew a bit of sorcery and black magic. At a young age, he had mastered some spells and magical arts. He used this knowledge to briefly enthrall people and make them perform various tasks, which he found amusing. He took pleasure in doing this to people around him. He would suddenly bewitch friends and make them continuously submerge themselves in water or climb trees they had never climbed before. Even though they knew how, this kind of torment became an addiction for him. He would challenge anyone, knowing ordinary people lacked knowledge of such sorcery. He created an atmosphere of fear in the village. Everyone was scared of him. People felt forced to obey his demands, fearing he would cast a harmful spell. Countless complaints were lodged with his parents. However, his father, who only had this one son and vast wealth, never took his faults seriously. He would tell the complainants, "What is the extent of your loss? I will compensate you. He is just a child. He will grow up and be fine." While he tried to offer compensation, some damages were such that people refused the money out of anger. For instance, if his son ruined someone's reputation by insulting them in a crowded gathering or marketplace, money could not restore their dignity. Destroying cattle or property was solvable with money, but damaged honor was not. This addiction to destroying others' honor completely consumed the boy. The jinn then informed Jayed about several heinous acts the boy had recently committed that overshadowed all his previous misdeeds. First, the boy was sleeping after lunch when an elderly beggar came to the house. The beggar was known in the village and usually received charity from every household. Since he visited infrequently and was familiar, the beggar called out loudly at the boy's house that afternoon. The boy woke up in a fit of rage and shoved the elderly beggar to the ground. The beggar was badly hurt and left crying in pain. The worst thing he did was he took a liking to a girl. The problem was that he was a Muslim and the girl was a high-caste Hindu. The girl's father was a priest who conducted Hindu religious rites. The boy told the girl he liked her. The girl refused his proposal, saying she was a priest's daughter and couldn't engage in such a relationship. Their paths were separate. The boy then falsely claimed that he was also Hindu, assuring her there would be no problem. Since the girl didn't know him previously, his house was at the edge of the village, so he wasn't well known. She believed him. They gradually began a secret love affair. The girl was her father's only child. Her mother had died when she was young, and to save his daughter from hardship, the priest never remarried. The girl was his last living solace, and he adored her. During their relationship, the boy would often demand she come out at odd hours. As a priest's daughter, she and her father held a respectable position in the area, so she often disobeyed the boy's commands not to go out. This led to an argument, and in a fit of rage, the boy made a terrible decision. One day, he asked the girl to meet him in a secluded spot. When she arrived, they argued again. Eventually, the boy strangled the girl and killed her. After the murder, he hid her body behind a bush and fled. The father searched everywhere for his missing daughter. She had not gone to any relative's house. The priest grew worried about his only beloved child. Days passed and there was no news. The father's health deteriorated. Meanwhile, some of the girl's friends knew about her relationship with the boy and where they used to meet. Following this lead, the father went to a spot where he found his daughter's dead body and broke down in grief. He brought the body back and performed the last rites. However, there was no solid information on who killed her or why. Furthermore, the boy's family was wealthy and influential. Coupled with the weak legal system in India at the time, suspicion could not be easily pinned on the boy.